Hello, everyone. We are very excited to welcome chess grandmaster Vidit Gujrathi to discuss his career and experience playing chess at the highest level. Vidit started playing chess at the age of 7 and has since won 4 national youth medals, 4 Asian youth silver medals, and 3 medals in World Youth Championships. In 2006, he achieved the title of International Master (IM) after finishing second in the National Chess Championship. He attained the title of Grandmaster in January 2013. Since 2015, Vidit has been a prominent member of the Indian chess team and has represented India in 2 World Cups, 2 World Team Championships, and 3 major chess Olympiads. He is the fourth Indian ever to have crossed the ELO rating threshold of 2,700, which he did in 2017. Vidit also represented India in various international Grandmaster events, having won 5 of the competitions in Biel, Malmo, Tata Steel, Lake Sevan, and Prague. In August 2020, Vidit was the captain of the Indian chess team that won the historic gold at the FIDE Online Chess Olympiad. This was the first gold for India at the Chess Olympiad. He is currently rated number 3 in India and number 25th in the world. Welcome, Vidit.
Thank you, Anand, for that introduction. And it's my pleasure to be here and to speak with you and all the employees and everybody who's watching. So I'm very excited and happy to be here.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Vidit. We've all been extremely happy with how much you have grown as a chess player and has, led the team to win the very first gold last year. So I wanted to, ask you a few questions about your whole experience, and feel free to, go deeper as you feel interested.
Sure.
First question I have for you is, do you have a role model? Do you have someone whose games you have learned a lot from?
Actually, it's funny. Just the other day, I was thinking I was going to speak to a couple of kids who I was going to coach. And in a day, of course, I can't really coach them. So I wanted to share some story of mine which would inspire. And I was looking back and reflecting on my childhood. And I realized that there were 2 reasons why I started playing chess. And one of the reasons why I started was I wanted to defeat my father because he was always used to win against me and I couldn't stand losing. So that was one motivation. And the second motivation I realized, like after playing for like 1 or 2 years as a hobby, I used to get a magazine at my home by the Federation. It used to be called ASCF Chronicle or something like this. And in that, they had a photo of a training camp where all the youngsters and juniors are playing. And I saw that they are training in like a luxurious 5-star resort and they're in the pool and having fun. So I thought, okay, wow, that's nice. I would like to lead some sort of life like that. And it made me realize that actually we uh, draw inspiration from various things. And like, let's see, if you think we look at someone or something and we aspire to become like that. So I think I had various such role models. I mean, one of the, of course, this aspiration for that life. I was proven wrong that it's not like, okay, you start playing and you go in a resort having fun. It's never like that, but that was the Kickstarter. But I always looked up to many elite athletes. So, for example, in my childhood, I had a book of Gary Kasparov. It was in Russian. So I did not understand most of it, but I could understand the moves. And I was so impressed by his play. And then, of course, later on, I saw many videos, DVDs about him, and his killer instinct was just amazing. And any player who has been world number 1 or at the top for like 15 years is unbelievable. And now, when I'm playing chess, I realize that it's very, very tough to do that. So I drew a lot of inspiration from Gary Kasparov in my childhood. Then I read a book about Bobby Fischer and how he alone fought against the entire Russian or the Soviet army. I mean, like the chess army, I would say, single handedly. And that was really inspiring. Like, if you have the will and that focus, you can achieve anything. So I learned a lot from him. And then as I grew later on, I draw inspiration from various sources. So any book I read now, I take an inspiration. I take the best part out of it. I think recently I was just reading a book about Google as well, and I mean not exactly Google, but the OKRs, and how it was used in Google, and how it led to the productivity levels they increased and stuff like this. So I take the best points from it, and then I try to apply in my life. So I have a lot of OKRs for myself in the next couple of months.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thanks. You know, what were your thoughts when you realized that you were going to be leading the Indian chess team for the Olympiad with Anand Vishwanathan in the team?
So it was funny. Like I was just sitting with my family on the dinner table, and then suddenly I got a text from Ramesh, RB Ramesh, who is a grandmaster, and previously he used to be the coach of the team, but this time he was in the selection committee. He asked me, "Would you like to be the captain of the team?" And I was like surprised, pleasantly, of course, because I thought, okay, if Anand is there, how will I be the captain? And then I asked him two questions, which I asked, what will my role be like in the team if I'm the captain? Because that was very important before just accepting it for the sake of being captain. I wanted to know what are my responsibilities and roles. The second thing I asked was, is Anand okay with that? And like, would he not mind? And then he said, no, I've spoken to Anand. He is completely okay with it. And that was very nice of him. So that cleared out. And the second thing which he said was, you will have to pick the team and manage the team. That would be my main primary role. I realized later on that the roles kept extending. I had to do a lot of admin work as well. But this goal actually like sealed the deal for me, because in my previous Olympiads, previous all the team events, I noticed few of the things which I wanted to change. Like, let's say somebody's giving a speech, or like let's say somebody's doing a act or a video or movie, you always think, oh, they could have done this better, they could have changed that, the book could have been a little bit more interesting. So when you're looking at it from a third person's point of view, there are a lot of insights you get. And the same thing I had with the team management and stuff, I thought I can do it better in some of the ways. So I was like, okay, this is my chance. Let me apply my theories and let's see how it goes. So I accepted gladly, and it was just one of the most amazing experiences to play the Olympiad, and I learned a lot about uh, leadership and management skills in that process as well. Because you can read as much as you want, but if you don't have that experience, then it's just all pseudo knowledge.
Yeah, I would imagine it would have been, even being a leader in person, where you know the people you've interacted with, and then you manage and create teams, right? It's interesting, but doing it all in the virtual world, what was
So,
different?
I think one of the things which might have made a little bit more difficult if you compare the real world and the virtual world is the communication part. Because on Zoom or some, you're just Google Meet, you're just hanging out, there are like limited number of things you can do. Like it little bit can become chaotic, but when you're in person, it's more natural, more organic. But it's a very small hurdle. I think the technology has come so far, and we saw in the lockdown that so many things can be done online. So I don't think that was really a hurdle, like not being in person to interact. But I realized a couple of things. Like, for example, in the meetings, I realized to keep it very short. I mean, not the time span, but the amount of people who are joining. So if there were 12 people in the meeting, it would not be productive. That was my experience, because half of the people wouldn't say something because they were like a little bit shy, and they would just sit and they would get bored, for example. And somebody like there will be a lot of communication gap, and it would like 15 minutes job would take an hour. So what I did was, I used to, after the games, we used to have some meetings, for example, very quick, like talk. And, because that's also important. You feel a part of the team, not an individual event. So quickly we used to get on the call, and then I used to contact each person individually along with my friend and the vice captain, Srinath. So Srinath was very good with the junior players. So he used to contact them mostly, and I used to be in touch with the senior players because we play quite often and we have a good rapport. So I think we divided the work, but I realized the meetings are most effective when it's either 2 to 4 people. More than that, it can take longer than it should. So there are many learnings like this from the
Thanks, Vidit.
management part.
Yeah, it's probably very applicable for us too in some ways. Um, See, India is such a craze about cricket, right, in India. And we've had tests and then one day internationals and now T20s, which have become very, very interesting. But in chess, for the longest time, we've always had classical and then, rapid and then blitz and then
Mhm.
even, bullet and other forms, right?
Mhm.
Um, but in a team sport like cricket, you can pick different teams for different formats, right?
Mhm.
But you're yourself, you have to play all these three formats. So what different methods do you apply for these three different formats?
Um, it's interesting because previously, before the pandemic, mainly the one format which was played most commonly was the classical format, which is like how people understood which is the best player in the world. But after the pandemic, the importance of rapid and the blitz, the shorter formats, increased because online you can't really play like a 5 hour, 6 hour match. And the shorter format works very well, like a blitz 3 minutes or like a rapid, which is 15 minutes. So I think all the tournaments which are happening now are rapid 15 minutes because blitz, can get a bit of a lottery or little bit of a luck factor gets increased. But in rapids, it's skills and luck balance is very good. So for me, I had to adapt because I mainly my style is of classical chess. I like to sit down, try to find the best move, take my time and think. Uh, that's that's how my personality goes well with that. In my childhood, I used to be very good at blitz, very good blitz player because my instincts were good. But when you don't practice for long, of course, the skills go down. So, the entire 2020, I have been trying to change and get accustomed to uh, the rapid and the blitz formats because I feel there is no point in me making excuses saying that I'm only good in classical because I think everything is changing and it will keep changing. So for me, I have to adapt as soon as I can. And this thing I learned from the players, for example, who were in 90s, who were at the top, and only couple of players from the 90s could manage to do well in the 2000s, especially 2010s, because when the computers really evolved, the method of preparation changed. Like you had to use the computer, you had to use all the databases, and you had to work efficiently with them. And there was one part who did that very well, and there was the second part which were like, no, I would still go old school, I would play it on the board, and I don't like this computer is technology is ruining things. And the ones who were in that, like they couldn't adapt quickly, they had to fall back. So it's very interesting to see there were some players who just couldn't adapt, and then it took them a very long time and they had a big slump. For example, Anand is one player who adapted very well from the 90s, and he had a team. He learned how to best utilize the machines, the engines, the hardware which we have, and that's why he was able to be at the top. And there were some players who were old school and they just fell apart, couldn't really match that level. So yeah, for me, I'm trying to adapt right now to the faster formats because I know I've seen that if you don't, you will be thrown away.
How much do you play of these three formats in a month? What would be the proportion?
Mostly I play the blitz format because online, if I go online, I'll just get easily, I'll find an opponent to play blitz. Rapid is longer, so it's unless it's like a training camp where I'm asked a friend or a colleague of mine, okay, let's play some games before a tournament to get that warm up. Only then I play the rapids, but mostly it's the blitz and the bullet format. And it's very interesting to see that the younger kids are generally much better at it because they have grown up in this generation. So they have played much more than some of the people who are at the top. And now the challenge is to match the young kids there and to overtake them. So that's the challenge right now for me. So yeah, that's the aim.
Does playing much more in the faster formats, does it help you in the classical side, or do you have to train differently for the classical?
Um, it depends. It's I think there has to be like a proper study, which can know for sure if it helps or if it's. There are many theories. One say that you don't think when you're in classical because you're used to playing fast. Uh, but there is a generation like Hikaru Nakamura who always played online. There is Indian players like Nihal Sarin who always plays online and is doing well. So there are two theories, but it's all empirical evidence and it can go either way. So I don't know, to be honest.
Got it. Okay. Um, some of us have seen this very interesting towel experience you had in the Iranian hotel, and it's so many people have had so much joy reading about it and seeing the videos on YouTube. Do you have any other interesting, experience in tournaments that you want to recount? It could be
I
funny, it could be learning experiences, it could be anything.
I think nothing close to towel experience when it comes to embarrassment, because it was like very funny. I was 12 years old and I didn't know what I'm doing. Uh, but I did have some couple of odd experiences. For example, I took my first trip um, once, first foreign trip alone, and I went to Greece, and then I was struggling at the airport. I missed my flight almost, and then I had to run. Like all these scenes come to my mind. But it was good. Like when I was only 15, I got that exposure, and then once I was stuck in China airport because I think I was transiting and absolutely nobody spoke English at the airport. And I had a connecting flight, which was the next day. So I had like a 12-hour transit, and the airline said that they would arrange a stay, for example. And the airline's office was closed there when I went to the airport. And I'm like, okay, what should I do now? Like, either I am stuck in the airport or uh, and there was no easy way going out and stuff like this. So I was struggling. I went to people, kept asking, okay, can you help contact this airline? I took a local SIM somehow, tried to call, never really happened. But finally, I found someone, used Google Translate, and then convinced someone, explained them what I'm trying to say. Then they eventually, after 3 hours, helped me connect. But many experiences like this in travel where I'm stuck. I've had one of the like I'm the only guy in chess field whose visa always gets rejected. Like be it either Schengen visa or US visa, my visas always get rejected. So it's always some dramatic story. At the airport, I'll get my passport and then I'll immediately fly. So some
I
things
see.
like that happen all the time.
In any airport, has anyone say noticed you as an elite chess player? Have there been
Uh,
surprises?
I expect that maybe after 2020 it would be more because of the streaming, because the visibility that way has increased. But there were some times, like in Mangalore, once on the street, I was very surprised to find a chess fan. And then in Chennai, it happened once or twice, I think. They just read in the newspaper that day and they met at the airport. Funnily enough, I think most of these experiences have been in South India, not in my hometown or Mumbai airport where I'm quite often. So I think maybe I think there is this sports culture there, or chess culture, I would say, rather, in
Well,
the
I'm
southern
sure
India.
Anand Vishwanathan has had a big effect on the number of even if you look at the number of GMs in
Mhm.
India, right? The concentration is higher. People look at
True,
role models, and he's had a big influence.
true, 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 true.
Um, can you walk us through a bit of your methods, practice, from going from, say, 2000 ELO rating to 2500? Uh,
Okay. Mm.
there are so many chess players we know who don't make that transition, who don't grow from 2000 to 2500. What did you do?
So when I got my rating, it was I think 1900, and I was what I think 9 years old, maybe something like this. And then the graph went pretty fast, like 1900 to 2000 in one rating list, then 2100, 2200, 2300, 2480, I think, till that it was like a very fast growth.
Okay.
After that I struggled, uh, and that was because of my psychological issues. So I think when I was around 14, I was already close to becoming a grandmaster. I was 2500 already. I think when you're young you progress much faster, I think, as they say in the scientific research, that the neuroplasticity is more, you're able to adjust, and for example you don't have responsibilities, so you're completely focused and stuff like that. So for me that growth was much faster and easier, frictionless, I would say. But after this barrier of 2500 which I crossed, I wasn't able to cross one barrier, which was to get the grandmaster norms. So like to become a grandmaster you need to get three grandmaster norms, which basically is like perform to a certain level in three various tournaments. And really struggled with that, because what used to happen is I used to play well, and in the last round I had to make a draw, for example, and I have the grandmaster norm. But I lost one game that time. Instead of making a draw, I lost it, and that psychological impact which it made was huge. So next time I came in this situation, I was already nervous, and then it again happened. Then it happened again the third time. It was not because of skills, but I think the psychology was really stopping me, because every time the situation came, I was like paralyzed. I wouldn't play at my best, constantly thinking, "Oh, I'm so close to my goal. I'll be grandmaster right now if I do this," and did not go well. And then when things start going astray, I used to think, previously also it happened, so now also I'll get the same thing. And I think in my TED talk also I spoke at on length about this. So the funny thing was how I managed to overcome it was I simply stopped caring after a while, because once you like fail or like not succeed in one thing, you stop caring, you don't give that much importance. And it would be very counterintuitive, but as I said, skill was not the problem. In one tournament I was playing in Nagpur, I think, and I was with my roommate, and we used to play video games in the night. And then the next morning, I used to just prepare a little bit and go to the game. So this casual approach actually helped me, because I wasn't thinking about the result. The video games was like a switch off for my brain to stop overthinking and just execute the plan which you have worked at home. So if I tell people that, oh, when I became grandmaster, I was actually playing video games, it would not sound correct. But when you take it in context, it does make sense. So this psychological thing, which was a big issue, and for people who want to cross this 2000 to 2500, um, I think one thing which I see most people struggle with is making tactical mistakes, like not seeing a fork, or the basically tactical vision is slightly not that at that level, that sharpness. So that's a common thing, but it's too general of an idea. I think for each person the problem is different.
How much did you play when you went from say 2000 to 2500? How long would you play? Did you play mostly with only computers, no humans?
No,
What?
I did not play against computers, because it was very discouraging to lose so many games against computers. And I think nobody really has the courage to go against computers nowadays. So I used to play only against humans, because there is hope to win. And yeah, I played many tournaments in India mostly, but I don't like really recall. But I didn't have a rating drop. So basically, from 1900 to 2480 something, it was just like a straight line of the graph. It never really came down. So I think I had the strength. It was just a matter of time to reach there.
Yeah, that's a good point. You bring up this thing which we keep seeing. The computers have gotten so good at chess now. Uh, do you think there'll be a future when humans will only have different computer engines as seconds, and there won't be any human seconds?
Uh,
Uh,
I think, yeah, I mean, if you compare to 1980s, where, for example, Kasparov used to have a team of 4 or 5 grandmasters sitting with him and doing the job. Even, um, I think until 2007, there used to be like a team, but only at the world championship level, not otherwise. Computers have made things much easier, but it's also a skill how you work with the computers. So I don't think that level has reached where, like, okay, it will give you all the data, but you still have to learn from it. For example, at least in chess, how I see it, it will show the right move, it will show you the best move, but if you don't know why it is saying it, then it's pretty much useless for you if you're trying to learn. So right now I feel the challenge is, or the most important thing is, how you work with the computers. And there are few people in chess world I see who are very very good, like, because they have devoted so much time, they know exactly why the computer says this move or that move. They are very good with all the following the latest trends of the neural network, the AI, and they understand all the intricacies. And there is other part which just like sees mechanical, okay, it says the following XYZ move, you just play it, but that doesn't really give value. So it's the skill of a human right now, at least in the chess world I would say, plus the raw power of the computer. That combination is deadly. But just like if you give someone like the best highest tech computer with the best hardware, best software, in chess world I don't think it would make a difference if the person who is operating it doesn't really understand or like can make sense of that information. uh, but in the future, I don't know how it will happen. For me, the AI, I think, can change literally everything how we process. Like I think more and more apps are having AI, and uh, I think in 2012 people were talking about it, but nobody knew how it will go. But right now we see the effects little bit how it's coming. But yeah, I think this question Elon Musk can answer better than me. What the future looks like.
Got it. Got it. I'll ask one more question, but before that, I do want to tell the audience that you can type your questions in the YouTube live chat. And after this question, we will start looking at questions from the audience, and we'll have you answer some of those. Um, okay, so I'll ask one final question.
Sure.
Uh, there are lots of chess enthusiasts who are watching this, even within our company. Do you have any advice on for the intermediate players and early players? What kind of resources to use? What kind of books, if any, are channels, are techniques do you use?
First of all, it's very nice to see that there are so many chess lovers or chess fans in the company. So that's really amazing. And I don't know what level intermediate would mean, like on the rating scale, but there are a couple of sources which are very good for improvement. Um, I think nowadays there is so much of content online in the video form. So if somebody likes to consume content in the video form, then there is channels like ChessBase India, for example, who do excellent when it comes to chess journalism. They cover each and every tournament, especially the Indian tournaments. And they also have like Sagar, who runs the channel, makes a lot of uh, videos about like which opening to play, how the game went, analysis with top players, and so on. So that's a very good source to, like, casually learn a lot. And then if you want to watch like how top grandmasters play, there are many streamers nowadays who, like, when they are playing, they commentate. For example, Hikaru Nakamura was one of the first grandmasters at the top level to stream, and he still does it like for 6 hours. So you can learn a lot from like simply looking at his games and his thought process as he's talking. And now many have done started in India as well. I do it. There is Anish Giri, Rajabov, who stream. So that's a easy way to just like log in on YouTube and see the streams. The other way is books, which was my personal favorite. In my childhood, I read a lot of books. Right now, I read mainly non-fiction books, but in my childhood, it was chess books. Um, but there are many chess books, I think, of publisher like Quality Chess. They have really high quality when it comes to the books as well. So I would really recommend those. And there are some famous authors like Mark Dorothy, who was arguably the world's best trainer, as people gave him that tag. And there are like many wisdoms there. Also, Kasparov has written many books. But I find nowadays, that you will get more latest knowledge in for electronic format, like some courses which are video courses, for example, not necessarily that they're on YouTube, but also in like video form. I think that's where chess world is heading. The content is more getting from books to electronic media, I would say. Yeah, so many sources, I think. It's again like, there are many sources. How you use it is the question.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, so the questions from the audience have started streaming in. I'll just start asking them. First question is, I assume you've tracked AlphaZero's games.
Mhm.
What is your opinion about them?
Wow, when I first saw AlphaZero, I think I remember I was with Anish Giri back then. I think when I first saw it, and I told him, I mean, something insane is happening. I think there is a revolution in the chess world, because I didn't know that this is a very private engine back then. I thought this is going to be public, and that opened my eyes that, oh, chess can be played this way. It's insane. And the moves, some of the moves were so close to humans, but executed at the level of a computer. And like, first when I saw it, I was like completely bamboozled, like I was happily surprised. Then I thought, okay, chess is going to be dead. All these thoughts start coming, like, oh, now this is chess, might there's no future maybe, because this will solve the game and all that stuff. But of course, we are humans, we will make mistakes. I realized it. uh, from AlphaZero, I think, created a revolution when it comes to chess world, because nowadays all the engines are neural network based, like the Stockfish engine, the Leela, which is open source. I think Stockfish also is open source. uh, so these are like really creating revolution, and everybody is using those. So the old traditional way is just not used at all. uh, it's all neural network. So I think it has made huge progress. They are like much stronger than the previous generations. I don't know what's the bar we are looking at, where this growth will stop. That's what I'm wondering. Like, will it still keep evolving? Will it still keep getting better? And that's one question which is very intriguing to me.
Okay. There is Asta Nandwani who asks, "Hi Vidit, how do you think playing chess has shaped your outlook to life?"
Oh, that's very interesting. It has changed completely, I would say, because I had so many experiences due to chess. Like, I learned how to travel at a very young age. In my childhood, I always used to be the kid who would be like always be surrounded or be near the parents. I mean, if they are not in my sight, I will get really worried. So I was that kind of person. And then at a very young age, like 10, 11, I had to learn how to travel alone. So I grew up as a person much faster, I would say, rather than like if I was traditionally going to school and pursuing my studies. I think my evolution as a person would be much slower. But due to chess, I got to see the world and see a lot of experiences, have a lot of experiences. So that helped me. And then there were a lot of skills which I learned from chess, like how I practice, like, the discipline which is required, the focus which is required. And even like when I'm trying to improve every day, I learn a lot. So for example, recently, I was trying to increase my productivity levels, and because of that, I realized I read a lot of books about motivation, how productivity can be increased, and stuff like this. So, due to chess, I think I'm improving as a person as well. And of course, there were many experiences like when you lose, that's the most toughest feeling as a sports person, because we really get like, I don't know why in chess, if you lose, it feels really bad. I don't know why it is like that, because you feel like a little bit humiliated, or you think that how can I do such a silly mistake. So in my childhood, whenever I lost, I used to throw a lot of tantrums, get really angry. But of course, that would never work in real world, because nobody except your parents, nobody would tolerate that behavior in real world. Nobody would sympathize with that. So I learned how to control my emotions, and I got better as person, because in my childhood I used to get really angry after losing. But after having lost so many games, now I know a little bit better on how to handle it. So many experiences like these.
Got it. Okay. Ranjan Rajgopalan asks, would an inference engine which explains the reason behind moves be helpful for preparation?
What is exactly an inference engine?
Like, let's say a computer recommends that you should be moving this. This is the best move. Would an engine which explains to you why it came up with this thing, why this is a better thing, would that be helpful for preparation? I'm guessing that's what Ranjan
Mhm.
is referring to.
Okay. Um, well, basically, I don't know if it can really break down thought process, because I don't think computers can think like that, right? I mean, can we program it that way that it tells why it picked a certain move? But right now there is some AI, which is I think it's called decode chess. So what they do is, engine says a certain move, and then the AI analyzes the moves and tries to give a rational explanation for it. I think it's still a work in progress, but it doesn't really tell why it picked the move. It shows the moves and then it rationalizes it, rather than like having it rationalized and then telling why this move. So if that would happen, I mean, then humans have no job to do. But I don't know if it's possible. If it would be possible, then it's amazing. Everybody would use it.
Yeah, I think one of the things which we have always found is that computer science keeps pushing the boundaries of possibility of rational
True,
thinking. So we don't know what is not possible.
true, true. I would love to have something like that.
Sure. Just a couple more. Amit Pandey asks, um, how do you do opening preparation? What are the best free opening databases?
So for a professional, I use the software. As a professional, I use the software Chess Base, which is like the industry standard. Every top player uses it, because it's like a kind of a monopoly in the chess world. There's nothing competing that. It has a very good database management system, and every player uses it. So I use that to see the games of my opponent. Then I see when it comes to openings. Oh, for example, Carlsen played this opening in the last tournament. I get the references. Oh, then maybe I should target him over there, or maybe that looks like a weak part of his opening. Maybe he's not so confident there. He's avoiding that line. So it's basically like that. Free opening database. I don't know, because I of course try to get the best one, but there is a website called The Week in Chess, and basically it's developed by a guy called Mark. He's from UK, and every week he updates a database which has the games of the week. So every week there are 4,000 games, and there is a compilation of the games from I think 1990 to last week, or even I think today's what, Monday. Yeah, so tomorrow there will be another update. So every Tuesday you can get the database from there.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, let's finish with one last question from Priyanka Banerjee.
Mhm.
Um, Hey, Vidit, really enjoy your chess content on YouTube. Streaming seems to be an effective way to get more people interested in the sport. What are some other unconventional ways to popularize chess?
Uh, yeah, actually, streaming has really shown that it works, and it has popularized the sport. I think one of the things which also helped was the lockdown, and more people had time to watch it. And of course, there were some always chess fans. They did not know where to go. Like my father, he's a big chess fan, and he doesn't know where to watch the games, for example. So streaming really helped him. Like now he's there on YouTube watching the games until 3 a.m, and then I have to tell him that sometimes, dad, please go to sleep, you can watch it later. So that has helped. Now many sources you can learn from or have entertainment. um, what are the other unconventional ways? I think more exhibitions would be amazing. um, I think, for example, one underrated or unexplored areas in exhibitions is simultaneous matches, which I love, like at once playing against 40 people, 50 people, doing blindfold exhibitions. Let's say a person who is not into chess, he would really find that amazing, or there is a wow factor because a person is having blindfold and is playing against 10 people at the same time. So I think these events could really attract the audience and make them, you know, have the taste of the beautiful world of chess.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Vidit, for joining us and answering all these questions.
My pleasure.
We wish you the best. We hope you win more gold medals, both for yourself and for the country.
Thank you.
And now we will transition to the bullet games. You'll be playing with a small set of
Oh,
people.
sure. So, a bullet game, right? Like 1 minute game.
Yes.
Shall I paste the link in the chat
Yeah.
box here?
Uh,
Okay.
correct.
And I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
I guess once the game starts, I can just share it.
Correct. Okay. So he's asking me to start the first game. So I'm joining it.
Would bullet be a little bit too fast, or it's fine? You prefer this way?
It's fine.
It's fine. Okay, I'll just share my screen. Yeah, so I'm ready to start whenever
Start.
I can
Okay.
start. Okay.
Yep.
That was a good game. You're playing very fast. I think you're from touchpad, or you're using a mouse, because you're playing very fast at the beginning.
I was just using the touchpad.
Oh, that was quick for touchpad. So,
Continue with other players.
oh, I'll have to create a new link. This time control is fine, right? I suppose. Uh, sure. I see a message from Sanchit which says to have an odds match with 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Sure. So I'll make the first move and then I'll let my clock run down to 30 seconds and then I'll start blitzing out the moves. So that sounds good. So I'll wait until the control timer goes until 30 seconds. This odds match are really interesting. Okay. Okay. That was a good game. Good game. It came close. From next game, can I? Oh, can I add time here? I didn't know about it. Um, I don't know if I can add time to my opponent. I would play with 30 seconds, but okay, let's see. Okay. Can I add time? I think this adds time, right? Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, I was slightly lucky because black could have played bishop e4 and defend the pawn, knight on b7, and I would have been in trouble. But after c6, now it's just lost because the queen can't really capture as the knight is hanging on b7. Yeah, I think here black Amit could have played bishop e4 and defend the knight. Probably that's the best way. And actually, black might even be doing well in that position. I think I'll create one more. Okay, I'll add timing. Seems good. Everybody's pre-moving. That was close. Um, that was close. Interesting game. 30 seconds seem. Thank you, Kami, for the game. I think, Suyash, do I need to have one more game? Please let me know when I have to stop. Okay, I'll create one more. Everybody plays so well. And I think if it was more than half a minute, if it was more than half a minute, it would be much tougher. Oh, great. Okay, add more time. Let's go. I think in 30 seconds, it's very hard for me to speak and play. So I'll just focus on playing until it gets very clear cut. Oof, 30 seconds give me a little bit of scare. Okay, I'll do one more. So far, all the games have started well, but I think when it goes below 30 seconds or 20 seconds, the time is too little. So the games all start well at the beginning. Okay. I thought this one I almost lost because the position was really shaky. I think until here, um, I mean, if I did not weaken the king and took the pawn, it would have been a tough match because I had really a low time. Okay, I'll create another challenge. Okay, let's start. Yeah, I had to sacrifice a piece and go all out because I was getting low on time. Luckily, it worked out. Actually, if black had played bishop f8 in this position, then my attack would be actually pointless. Then I would have to come back. It was slightly of a gamble, which paid off. Okay, okay, let's go. Okay, checkmate. Mm, okay, I've sent another link. I'll add time and start. Oops. Wasted a couple of seconds there. Oof, that was a very good game. Um, in the end, I managed to gain some time, but that was an excellent game. Well played. I think it was completely equal, and there was no chance. But just because I was ahead on time, I managed that. That was a close call for me. Okay, I'm sending. Last game, I think, was the closest so far. Very interesting. Okay, I'll add time. I thought I might actually end up losing on time because here I'm actually piece up, but suddenly I realized that I'm really low on time. Had White not given up the queen here, maybe played something else like capturing the queen, it would have been a very close game. So that was good. I'll create one more. This odds match is not really good for my heart. Okay, I'll add timing. Okay, let's go. Good game. Good game. It was well fought, and I think until here it was all good. I think if the king went back, White had a lot of chances to still play for, but good game. So guess that's it. As I get a cue that this is it for today. So thank you everyone for joining in, and I had a real pleasure talking with you know everyone here, taking all the questions, and it's much different online. But hopefully someday I'll meet all of the brilliant people here in person as well. And once again, thank you for taking out time and sending the questions, and hopefully it was useful. So I think I will call it a day, and I don't know if I should leave the stream. uh, Please let me know what's the next step. Okay, I'll stay. Okay, thank you.